James Harden certainly did while in China, discussing the former general manager of the Houston Rockets that had a great rapport with Harden then. Now he's the president of basketball operations with the Philadelphia 76ers, Harden's current team, Daryl Morey. And the relationship goes back years, because we mentioned yesterday and seeing a screenshot of whenever Morey left the Rockets, he took out a full-page ad in the Houston Chronicle, and the photo at the top was with him and James Harden throughout that era. Called Morey a liar and doubled down on it while speaking at an Adidas unveiling in China, and certainly made headlines, not because of the location, but how disgruntled James Harden is with Morey now, because Harden opted in to the final year option for the player, which is a $36 million option that he accepted under the idea, at least from Harden and those reporting on the league, under the idea that Morey had agreed that they were going to do everything possible to try to trade him. Harden wants to go to the Clippers. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And from the 76ers end of it, they're now saying, and Morey is saying, hey, my stance hasn't changed. We're not planning on moving him. We want him a part of this team. Well, now Harden is upset. And Adrian Wojnarowski, had a story at ESPN saying that Harden was disgruntled. Well, Kyrie Irving came to Harden's defense in a response to the tweet that linked the story, saying, is he disgruntled, Adrian, or is he holding Daryl Morey accountable for his dishonesty and lack of transparency throughout the contract negotiation process this summer? Normally, I sit here and look at this and go, yeah, the organization holds the power here. If you're under contract, you're under contract. That doesn't happen, though, in the NBA.
They operate by a different playbook.
And that's why I look at this and think, if he opted in under the guise that he was going to be traded, this is the power of the NBA player. And for whatever reason, if that was agreed to, normally that's what happens. In this case, Morey's saying, hey, yeah, we're sticking put. We're not getting what we want in return. We're not really chatting about trading James Harden. And now Harden's going vocal, and he's doing it by calling his president of operations a liar.
Well, we are a believer that words matter on this show. The word was disgruntled, okay? Is he disgruntled? A new segment on the show I'm going to call, Let's Go to the Dictionary. Let's go to the dictionary. Merriam-Webster, disgruntled. Someone who is unhappy and or annoyed. That is the very definition of James Harden. That is why he wanted to be traded, because he was unhappy and annoyed with the 76ers organization. It was disgruntled James Harden that entered the room having asked for a contract, or having asked to be traded, that signed the contract in the understanding that Daryl Morey would then trade him after signing that one-year option, right? Well, he's not found the price that he wants back for James Harden so far, so he hasn't been able to deal him. But Kyrie Irving looks like an idiot here, because when you're asking, well, Adrian, is he disgruntled? Of course he's disgruntled. He's asked for a trade. He is a disgruntled Philadelphia 76ers player under contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. If you look up disgruntled in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, you will see James Harden's beard in there. So, yes, he's disgruntled. Well, maybe you can defend him without saying something stupid.
Maybe he should have used different words instead of disgruntled. Maybe annoyed, irritated, testy, belly aching, crabby James Harden instead of disgruntled.
Again, let's go to the dictionary. New segment on the show.
Discontent.
If someone has a problem with a word they've been called, we go to the dictionary.
Pissed.
These all describe James Harden. By the way, they also all describe Kyrie Irving at different points in his career. So maybe he's just being a little sensitive.
The average NBA player, honestly.
Yeah,
but it's also a league, though, that does things after the fact, that after a deal is done. It's a league that if you want a player and you're trading up in the draft, the team that you're trading with drafts the player that you want, and then it becomes official after the draft that team traded for said player. So it's a little backwards. In both things that Kyrie mentioned in the response to Woj are correct. he is disgruntled. You're right, and he's also calling out the dishonesty of Morey in the statements made. And Harden's agent tried to get him not to make the public statement at that Adidas event.
Yeah, because he knows it's not going to help him get traded or help him with anything. And also, only those two men know what was said between the two of them, and probably his agent.
Yeah, but it has
right, because
been.
if it's I promise you will be traded by this date. You have my word. Now sign this piece of paper. Then Daryl Morey is a liar for not getting it done by then. But was it that, or was it we are going to make every effort to trade you? I believe we can make it happen. Sign the 1-year extension. We're going to work hard to make it happen. Well, he's not lying, getting the asking price they want for James Harden in return. So, two different things. And they're the only two that know it. And Daryl Morey may have lied to him. That's also very much a possibility. But to act like James Harden isn't disgruntled, this whole thing started because he's disgruntled, because he wanted out and he was under contract. That's how all this happened.
So maybe he promised him, maybe he didn't. But Harden also forced his way out of Brooklyn and did that successfully.
Yep.
And he's trying to do it again here under a final year of a contract and then double it up by potentially going to the Clippers. He's also, according to reports, naming his team as well, which doesn't seem like it's going to end well for Harden one way or the other. But the speculation is, through the insiders in the league, Chad, is that was the promise. But again, is that the contract? No. But normally the player gets his way in the NBA.
I went from hating this construct in the NBA where players just name their destination publicly of where they're going to go and who they want to play with, and then magically GMs and owners and everyone and other players make it happen. Hated it when it started with the big three in Miami and LeBron James and Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Then I learned to love it a little bit with all the offseason drama that the NBA causes. They own their offseason, and they get a lot of drama going. And now this is all cyclical. I'm back to hating it again. I hate this story. I hate that he's naming the Clippers. I hate that he can pull the strings and make this happen. And I, for one, am kind of happy that there's a GM out there willing to say, yeah, we're not getting the price that we want, so shut up and dribble. Shut up and play. You're a Philadelphia 76er. I kind of like that for once. And I'm not always on the owner's side or the team side on these things, but when it comes to the NBA and this mess that happens all the time, I'm okay with it.
And with Harden quite a bit. And players
especially with
bit.
James Harden,
yeah,
who's never happy.
Or never at the very top of the ladder in terms
well, also
of winning.
James Harden, who, let's face it, shows up fat at times to the start of an NBA season. Yeah. I mean, he acts like he's an NFL player in 1972 that worked an off-season job that has to get in shape when they get to training camp. You are a paid professional basketball player. Don't gain 25 pounds in the offseason.
He's also, he did win MVP in 2018. And a six-man award, I believe, a decade ago or so? Maybe longer than that.
Man, I miss those Oklahoma City Thunder teams. Durant, Westbrook, and him. Yeah. That was back when all those guys were so likable. That team was the darlings of the NBA.
And they were even more likable because
they lost to the Heat in the finals.
Yes, because of the super team.
Yep.
The beginning of what is now the league currently. Although I think they've done a good job, and it's through the stars, it's not through the league, of maintaining superstar status in some smaller markets. Giannis comes to mind there. And look, Ja Morant is a star that is going down the wrong path. But he signed the Supermax extension with Memphis. And, of course, what's going on in Denver with Jokic. I mean, we're starting to see tentpole players in different markets instead of everyone, joining forces and going to Miami. Or maybe we like that because we just referenced the era when we liked Oklahoma City.
Call me crazy. I like it when this happens, when a team gets a GM, they have an owner, and they hire a GM and a coach. And that GM is in charge of drafting players to the team. And they're in charge of scouting talent and drafting them and then trying to sign them to long-term extensions and making trades around those players, as opposed to the players signing a contract 1 year into a 4-year deal saying, I'm disgruntled, I'm unhappy, get me out of here.
And it comes from...
That's what I like.
A player ripping a GM and president who is always, speaking of tentpoles, waved the flag for James Harden throughout his NBA career.